Hi, my name is Erica, and I'm from the WVLS team that put together the 2022 System Information and Public Library Statistics booklet. I'd like to take a few minutes with you today to share an overview of the booklet and some tips for how you can use this information to make decisions for your library. The booklet has been published and distributed by WVLS since 1972 for 50 years. Physical copies of the booklet are distributed to libraries for library administration, a copy for the library board president, and a copy for the town, village, or city that supports a library. Additional copies are provided to other officials who make decisions about libraries, such as the county library board and county board. A copy is also submitted to DPI and is made available to others upon request. Previous versions and this year's are available for download at the WVLS website. From the WVLS homepage, hover over the About and click on About WVLS. Scroll down, and 5 years of the booklet are available under Reports and Statistics. For previous editions, or to receive any of these as an Excel spreadsheet so you can manipulate and work with your own data, simply contact the WVLS office. And now for an overview of the booklet for 2022. Changes in 2022 include updated formatting to make the tables and content easier to read, addition of charts to show 3 to 5 year trends and totals for all WVLS system libraries, and definitions or brief explanations of this data and how it is collected and reported. Many of these definitions are verbatim from the DPI Public Library Annual Report instructions to give context and background for what exactly these numbers represent. One thing to remember is that these statistics and numbers represent individuals who use our libraries. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers for numbers' sake, but these changes, trends, or totals wouldn't exist if people didn't walk through our doors or reach out to us and access a library service. These people are children, families, mothers, fathers, caregivers, workers, retired persons. And their feelings and activities are what make these trends happen. So as we review this booklet, keep in mind the motivations of those that use us and how they impact what we are seeing in the numbers. The booklet itself begins with a table of contents, and these are broken down by some introductory information, then categories of statistics for population and registered users, usage, collections, income, expenses, and facilities and personnel. The introduction information gives us some information about how to use this booklet and how to interpret information in this booklet. Something to keep in mind for 2022 is that this year offers the unique opportunity to essentially bookend our pandemic years. It begins with baseline years in 2018 and 2019, shows a change in service during the pandemic year of 2020, and then a recovery and a further rebound for 2021 and 2022. You'll see that trend in charts throughout the booklet. And a note for individual libraries, just remember there is no right or wrong or good or bad number or statistic. Each library and community it serves are unique. You can use these comparisons as a tool to help advocate for things that you would like to see in your library, but you can also be very happy with your performance even if it doesn't align perfectly with what other trends or averages are shown here. The next couple of pages give some library system information about the Wisconsin Valley Library Service, and some overall quick totals for performance for the entire WVLS library area. Our first section is population and registered users, those who we serve. Resident and extended county population, the DPI does a calculation that gives us an extended county population based on an expanded service area or expected population for each library. Registered users include resident and non-resident users, And the definition of a resident user is one who lives exactly within that expected service area of the library, and a non-resident user is one who is registered at the library but does not live within the municipality it would be expected for them to be served by. Registered users per capita is a calculation of the number of registered users versus the population estimate. And that gives us our population per capita. This chart shows the 2022 registered users per capita broken down by county and the WVLS service area. Our next section is usage, how the people actually use our services. This includes library visits, in-person programs, self-directed activities, computer and Wi-Fi usage, circulation of materials, and overdrive and electronic uses. Library visits was, again, a trend that very specifically shows the changes in the 2020 pandemic year. 2018 and 2019 could be considered baseline years. And then with the library closures and changes in service, there was a precipitous drop in in-person visits in 2020. Note that any services provided by curbside or outreach are not counted as an in-person library visit. Then these numbers began to rebound in 2021 and 2022. Programs followed a similar trend in that they dropped off in 2020. But self-directed activities is unique. Self-directed activity is defined as an activity that a person does independently and not in a group, and turned out to be not only just started to be measured in 2019, just prior to the pandemic, but turned out to be an excellent way of providing a program when large groups were not a good idea. And those became very popular and took off. In 2023, as we will have 5 years of information on those services. The next two charts show use of public internet, both through computers and Wi-Fi usage, and access of our library websites. Circulation, it measures the number of times physical materials are checked out from a library. Again, this trend does show a drop in 2020 in the circulation of physical materials. Interlibrary loan gives us net lenders versus net borrowers. So this is the use of library materials across the system. If a library sends out more materials to other WVLS libraries, it is considered a net lender. If it receives more materials than it sends out, it is a net borrower. And those that use about the same in and out are balanced. Circulation to other WVLS counties does show some of the important numbers that are needed for our cross-border reimbursements, as does circulation to non-residents. Circulation to non-residents is broken down by county non-resident circulation, circulation to residents of other WVLS counties, and to those counties adjacent to but outside of WVLS. And within that, it is further, each of those is further broken down to individuals who live in communities with a library, but not the library that they are currently registered and checking out materials at, or to those who live in communities that are not serviced by a library. These are important numbers for calculating the Act 150 and 420 reimbursements, which includes the cross-border circulations. And then finally in this section is overdrive or electronic uses. This includes ebook, e-audio, and for 2022, a small amount of e-video use. These numbers are not included in the total circulation numbers, as they are considered separate from the physical circulations. And also of note, in 2022, we did have some e-video, but this was discontinued. So in 2023, there will not be any numbers for e-video reported. The next section, section 3, covers collections of the materials that libraries own. The first chart is total physical materials, and then this is further broken down in the next charts as library collections of books and subscriptions, which includes magazines. Audio materials and video materials, again, this would be physical copies, DVDs or CDs, not materials that are circulated through Overdrive or Libby. And then finally, other library collections. In 2022, there was an update to the DPI definition for other library materials, and this did impact the way some libraries reported their other materials held by in 2021 and 2022. This may include numbers of materials that are owned by a library and considered a circulating item but are not included in the traditional library catalog. Next section is income, money received from local, county, and federal sources, and total operating income. This looks at a 3-year trend in local and county support. And also of note, Marathon County Public Library does not report local support. They only report support from a county source, so they are not included in the chart at the bottom of the page that compares county to municipal support. And other income in a 5-year trend, 2018 through 2022. Next section is expenses, what operating costs are for libraries. Total operating expenditures is shown as a 5-year trend. And then individual sections of salaries, benefits, materials, and other expenditures. Of note, libraries spend more than half of their operating budget on salaries alone, and another 1/5 of the budget on benefits. So 70% of average library budgets go to salaries and expenses, another 10% to materials, and the remaining 1/5 is the cost of all other expenses, including building maintenance, routine building maintenance, custodial programs, professional development, anything a library might spend money on that is not salary, wages, benefits, or materials. A quick look at salary expenditures alone, and then benefits expenditures. One chart that might be useful to libraries and advocacy is understanding that on average, benefits expenditures are vastly outpacing or overtaking the salary expenditures, not in numbers, but in proportion. One of the things this may be impacting is that as salaries become, or as benefits become more expensive, libraries may be making decisions about the ability to offer wage increases, or the types of positions that they can offer, or the types of benefits they can afford to offer. Materials expenditures is on the next page. And then finally, cost per circulation. Cost per circulation is a formula of the total operating expenditures for a year divided by the total physical circulation for that year. Of note, if there's a major change in circulation costs, but not a major change, or circulation numbers, but not a major change in operating costs, there will be an increase in cost per circulation, as we saw in the 2020 year. But as operating expenditures and circulations go back to their normal, we see a decrease in that cost per circulation. This cost per circulation is used in calculating those cross-border and Act 150 reimbursements. Our final section is facilities and personnel. This begins with our director's salaries, the certification for those directors, and the average hours worked per week, which gives you an idea of the type of size and capacity a library has to provide services. Our next one is public service hours, full-time equivalents, and square footage. Note that public service hours are not being reported by WVLS for 2020 and 2021 as libraries were closed and open at various random times. So 2018 and 2019 can be compared to 2022. The number of full-time employees can give an idea of the capacity of a library to provide certain services, and the library square footage may not change often, but it also gives a good idea of the size of a library. The final pages are from the WLA documents for advocacy. And finally, for this year, we would like to invite any additions or changes you would like to see for 2023 that would help you be a better advocate. Thank you for your time, and we hope this has been helpful.